Thank you.
Okay, I think it's safe to get started here. Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's Mentorability Information Session, Careers in Indigenous Technology, Innovation, and Creative Industries with Art Proctor from IndigiTech Destiny. My name is Susanna Tawes. My pronouns are she, her. I'm the project lead for Mentorability Initiative here in Alberta, and I have the pleasure of being your moderator today. We're also joined by Jamie Thiessen, pronouns they, them, another of the project leads of Mentorability Alberta as well. Next slide, please. Mentorability is a national initiative that helps to develop short-term mentorship opportunities for people experiencing pan disability to gain experience, industry knowledge, and network connections to take them to the next step in their careers. Mentorability does this by working with employers, supported employment service providers, and community across the province to grow cultures of inclusion, build value-added relationships, and promote the recruitment, employment, and retention of people experiencing disability. Next slide, please. We would like to acknowledge that Mentorability operates on the traditional territories of Indigenous peoples in what was colonially called Alberta, and express gratitude and respect for the land we use. Our decolonial journey, we pledge to dismantle systematic racism within our organization and commit to advancing reconciliation and equitable partnerships as we continue to engage predominantly in Treaty 4, 6, 7, and 8 territories and the Métis homeland. We recognize that the acknowledgement of traditional land is a start, but what is being asked for by Indigenous communities is land back. Next slide, please. A little bit of housekeeping for today. We ask that everyone has their microphone muted for the conversation to begin with. You're welcome to answer questions throughout the presentation. You can do so by putting them into the chat, and we will have a question and answer part at the end of the presentation. We'll get to those. For accessibility, there is closed captioning that you can access in the Zoom thing, or in the Zoom application as well. Next slide, please. I would love to welcome Art Proctor from IndigiTech Destiny for our information session today. Hello, Art. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Nyan Delusi, my name is Art Proctor, and thank you for inviting me to this information session. Very honored to be here.
Wonderful. Thank you, Art. Could we begin by getting you to tell us about yourself and the work that you do?
I will give you two versions of that question. One, I work at the intersection of art, culture, tech, and business. I am the founder, in this present conversation, I'm the founder and CEO of IndigiTech Destiny. My work revolves around using technology to empower Indigenous communities, drive economic reconciliation, and promote innovation. At IndigiTech Destiny, we focus on creating opportunities for Indigenous people in tech and creative industries, bridging the gap between traditional knowledge and modern technology.
That's wonderful. Thank you. I had a question around that. When you talk about creating opportunities, could you speak a little bit more to that?
Can you give me more specifics in what you would like, please?
Certainly. In your description, you said that you created opportunities for Indigenous folks in the technology sector, and I was wondering if you could speak a little bit to that.
Okay, so we have multiple initiatives and side kind of like projects that we do. One is the conference that we held every year during Innovation Week in Calgary. Spotlights Indigenous professionals in innovation, technology, and creative industries, but also is a kind of like a foil or a platform that will kind of encourage uh, multiple people in community to actually explore multiple aspects and careers in those fields. Um, and then we actually we're connected with several organizations, community and strategic, that will actually help and assist people to do that. So IndigiTech Destiny is an official ecosystem navigator for Elevate IP Alberta. So we are and can be help people to get in to entrepreneurship and give them the resources and the mentorship to actually do that. And then we do a series of seminars called Empowering Indigenous Professionals and Entrepreneurs through IP, which stands for intellectual property. We actually did a very successful film camp 2 weeks ago in Lethbridge called Indigenous Lens, where we actually had a weekend to actually do a one-on-one film industry related course to actually introduce people to that world and that sectors and some of the jobs that could be available, some of the trainings and some of the opportunities moving forward in regards to that. There is some other things happening in the near future. There will be possibly some drone training. There would be some kind of AI or cybersecurity related stuff. These are all things that we're presently in the process of developing and going to be implementing or executing in the next, 3 to 6 months. Does that answer your question?
It did. Thank you very much. Um, could you share a little bit more about the story of IndigiTech Destiny?
Well, I'll give you the fancy version of it. Uh, IndigiTech Destiny was born out of a vision to empower Indigenous communities through technology and innovation. We recognized there was a gap in the digital economy that left Indigenous people underrepresented. And our mission is to create a platform that provides education, resources, and opportunity for Indigenous talent to thrive in the tech industry. Over the years, we've grown into a multifaceted organization with a focus on conference, social enterprise, and community partnerships, all aimed at fostering economic growth and inclusion. Excuse me.
That's amazing. Thank you for sharing. Um, could you talk a little bit about possible positions that exist and what they look like?
Are you talking specific to IndigiTech as the company or IndigiTech as the community?
I would love to hear a bit about both in terms of what career possibilities are in IndigiTech and then also in terms of the community that you're working with.
So we can and will be looking for tech developers working and creating on software solutions that address community needs, creative producers, manage projects in digital media, film and music, bringing Indigenous stories to life through technology, community liaisons, bridging the gap between tech projects and community they serve, ensuring a cultural relevance and impact, and event coordinators, organizing our conference and summits, ensuring that they run smoothly and meet mission goals. Now, for the broader community, I would like to see and actually help mentor or promote people to actually explore education and training to actually get the skills and the credentials to be full stack developers, to be cybersecurity people, to be drone operators, to be film techs, to be creative producers, to be multiple aspects of the tech and innovation space and creative industries. The side thing is I am a a senior member for ATSI Local 212, which is the International Alliance of Theater Stage Employees and Motion Picture Technicians. That's a mouthful. And I have been involved in that industry. I know I look younger than I'm going to sound, but I've been involved in that industry off and on about 27 to 28 years, from kind of like just a beginning a permit all the way to a senior member. And I would love to see more a diverse, underrepresented group of people involved in my union, but all the associated unions that fall under the umbrella of film and creative industries that is in Calgary, Edmonton, and Alberta. I'm also a board member for the Virtual Reality Augmented Reality Association. So there is opportunities there that is needed in multiple aspects, from gaming to training to education technology to storytelling to producing, all kinds of things. So there's multiple opportunities there, and all these creative and other innovative aspects can be utilized cross sector. It's not related to creative industries. You can use this in oil and gas. You can use this in education. You can use this in construction. You can use this across the board. So all these skills are well needed and could be portable and transferable to whatever role that you actually think might be of interest or impact.
That's amazing. There sounds like there's a lot of different opportunities and a lot of need out there as well.
Yes.
I was curious if you could tell us a little bit about what a day looks like for you.
That depends on the day that you ask me. Honestly, some days I'm running around like a chicken without his head, or another day my hair is on fire and my stomach is tumbling. But I'll give you a more realistic aspect of what a typical day may or may not look like. Okay, so a typical day for me involves strategic planning, meeting with partners, overseeing various projects. I might start my day with a team meeting to review project progress, followed by a session with community leaders to ensure our initiatives are aligned with their needs. I also spend a good portion of my day networking, whether it is with potential collaborators or speak at industry events to advocate for this cause, like this one.
That's amazing. You sound very busy and very passionate.
I could say something, but I'm in mixed company, so I'll keep that to myself.
I know you talked a lot about the intersectionality between those three kind of industries. I was wondering if you could speak to what would stand out for a good fit within some of those roles that you talked about.
So adaptability, number one skill, adaptability. And then through an Indigenous or underrepresented lens, cultural awareness, a deep respect for Indigenous and underrepresented values is essential in roles within IndigiTech, but I think it plays out to the greater community. And regardless of what your culture, what your background, what your initiative is, regardless if it's Indigenous or underrepresented, just being aware of who you're talking to, who your demographic is, and just be respectful of their time, issues, and practices. I would also say be very collaborative and creative and being innovative in your thinking and your processes.
When you're thinking in terms of being creative and innovative, what are some of the ways that you suggest for people?
Okay, I think I know what that means, but can you give me a little more specifics?
Definitely. I think in terms of like the skills that might be needed, or the experience, or even the mindset that someone would need to have.
Well, um, if I may be, literally all the things that I just mentioned are the key backgrounds and skill sets, soft skills and touch that would be very needed in that world. But specific skills, um, it would depend on the job that you're actually, wanting to go into. Uh, I'll use a film or creative industry kind of related stuff as a as an example, but I can give you other kind of like more corporate tech things too also. But for in creative industry stuff, uh, a background, either volunteering or community involvement in those communities or in those sectors or in those jobs for a period of time where you actually have real life on the ground skills and background. Uh, I would say if you're going to get into creative industry, specifically stage or film, uh, you should actually have a basic knowledge of acting, directing, stage management, project management, uh, lighting, uh, um, uh, uh, painting, construction, all those kind of things, and get the applicable kind of like tickets or accreditation that will actually help you move forward in regards to that, like etiquette and protocol, your your um, your your um, your flagging course, your firearm safety, your food safety, your basic kind of like other related industry standards. Uh, in regards to technology or corporate technology companies, uh, some business courses would probably be good. Uh, some basic coding would be very beneficial. Multiple languages that you learn, some project management, uh, yeah, so forth and so on. I could probably go on, but I'm trying to keep it to a point. And
No, I
does
appreciate
that
that.
answer questions? If you want me to be more specific, I can be.
Yeah, no, that gives a very like overall looking at the different ways of being able to develop the skills. If someone was beginning in the creative fields, and they weren't sure where to start, do you have advice or suggestions?
Yes, definitely. I do. Okay, so um, multiple aspects. So education is key. It doesn't necessarily need to be formal, but there needs to be had. So you can get education by volunteering and connecting yourself with community organizations that will actually um, promote or steer you in the right direction of the path that you actually want to go. But if you have the opportunity and the resource, formal education will actually be really good on your resume to actually give you that step up. Um, if you're wanting to get in creative industries in Alberta, uh, and depending on the skill or the background or the sector that you want to actually completely focus on, although I'm not saying that you shouldn't actually have a specific skill and a pathway that you need, that you want to go on, because that's actually good from a focus point of view. But in the creative industries, and I believe in essence, creative technology and innovation as a whole, you need to be well-rounded and actually have access and a little knowledge in a lot of these areas. It will make you a more rounded a more well-rounded individual and give you more opportunities to move forward cross sector and cross positions. But education, so for education in Alberta, strongly recommend Lethbridge Polytechnic. They have an amazing immersive media course, and Lethbridge College actually has a really good theater course, and innovation and technology courses at both of those institutions are top notch in my opinion. Calgary, obviously, SAIT, I'm a little biased because I'm a SAIT alumni. Uh, um, it served me well, and they actually had a combination of kind of like book smart academic kind of credentials mixed with real life practical kind of things. So they have multiple courses that you can take at SAIT. And from an Indigenous and underrepresented, they actually have organizations and communities that will actually help you and guide you in those ways to support you with resources and mentorship. But you can actually you can be an architectural kind of design person. You could be a lab tech. You could be a mechanic. You could be a structural engineer. You can be a digital media person. Like there's multiple programs there. University of Calgary, which is awesome. They have a huge Indigenous related kind of like resource called Writing on Symbols Lodge. And they will actually help you facilitate and mentor you, make you feel at home in the courses that you are wanting to do. One of the big ones there is it's engineering through an Indigenous lens, which is really interesting course. They actually have some outlays called kind of like pathways in science, in engineering, in art, and other aspects. So lots of really cool avenues there. Obviously, Alberta College of Arts, if you want a really applied version of art, visual arts and digital arts. Mount Royal University, I should say. Really cutting edge stuff. And then in Edmonton, Nate and Grant McCune has some really cool courses, and obviously U of A. And then actually Red Deer College is actually really good. Grand Prairie University is really good. So there's a few. And then if you want specifically through an Indigenous perspective or lens, Red Crow College down in Lethbridge, oh my God, beautiful, fantastic environment, really good courses, very focused specifically on that through a cultural appropriate lens.
Amazing. There's so many different resources and so many different ways in terms of thinking about the education.
But getting back, I kind of went on a rampage and didn't really give you the kind of like point form versions of steps people can be to get into various industries. So education, networking, experience, cultural engagement. Those are very needed regardless of what you're doing, I believe.
That's great. I was wondering if you could speak to the networking part. So if someone's wanting to pivot into the different industry or expand their networks, do you have suggestions on areas that they might?
Yeah. So networking is key and very needed. And there's multiple ways that you can network, but I'm just going to do like the very standard kind of like general one. So attend industry events of the sector or the company or the group that you actually want to be involved in, because the more you go to these events, the more you'll get to know the people, the more you can actually possibly make connections from friendship to education to resources to possibly jobs and employment opportunities. uh, go to conferences, uh, connect with professionals and potential mentors. That will always be really good. Just go out and connect uh, yourself to community, because the more you're seen, the more you're known, the more people will actually start to invite you and involve you and connect with you. And you show with your own kind of like involvement that you're actually want to be there and I want to learn and want to move forward. And so with that, people will actually, most people will actually take that as a hint and help you down that path.
Speaking to that as well, how can people stand out to highlight abilities and not barriers?
Um, I would focus on your strengths and how they align with your mission. Highlight your unique perspective, especially how it can contribute to the work we do. It's important to showcase not just your technical skills, but your passion for community, empowering the cultural preservation. Overcoming barriers starts with believing in your abilities, presenting them confidently. And I say that's easier said than done, but the more you do it, the better you will get, and the more comfortable you will be doing, more comfortable you'll be at doing that.
Wonderful, thank you. I have a question coming back to industries and positions. I'm curious what type of positions you are seeing that are being hired for within these sectors currently.
Uh, can you give me one specific one? Because that's a pretty broad
Okay,
term.
sure. So let's go to technology. Within the technology sector, what are
I
some roles that you see are
we
being
are
hired?
in a we are in a huge deficit of kind of like programmers. We're a huge deficit of programmers, huge deficit of UX designers, cybersecurity, uh, um, yeah, web designers, AI people. Like we're massively deficit of all those architectural things, architectural design, uh, graphic design. But primarily right now we're massively deficit of programmers and kind of like design thinkers and project managers and in that regards.
Are there certain, when it comes to the programming, are there certain types of languages that you're looking for or certain technical skills?
Yeah, I would say overall, if you want your most bang for your buck, you could probably should say full stack development. And there's multiple organizations and community sectors that could actually train you in that. Um, one dear to my heart is Inception U. Uh, and then another colleague of ours, Al Dalgine at New Media Machine. But then if you want to actually do formal training, you can go to SATE and all those other things. But the industry is moving away from the quote unquote formal kind of like institutional training to more credentials and micro credentials. So you can actually take courses that could be a week to a month to 2 months to 3 months. And then you have a very specific focused learning. And then you can come out with an actual skill that is viable, that people need right now, that you could tomorrow get a job with. Maybe not a it would be an entry level job, but it'd be a job nonetheless. And then you will learn online and then probably upgrade your skills as you go. That's just one example.
When it comes to entry level jobs, do you have any advice in terms of how to stand out against or when you're applying for jobs?
Um, it's this is an old adage, but it's true. It's not what you know, it's who you know. And what I mean by that is going back to the networking and community involvement. Get out there, get to know people, connect with people, learn as much as you can about the field that you want to go into, read, go, learn, all that kind of stuff, and then ask lots of questions. Ask to be a mentor, ask to be an intern, ask to actually volunteer, ask to do all these kinds of things, because that's going to actually help you move forward, because people are going to actually hire people that they know as opposed to people that they don't know. I know it's a hard, harsh reality, but it's true.
Thank you.
But if I may interject on that, seeing also, that's again, that's easier said than done. And there are people and places and stuff that have issues with those things. So I would still say work on your skill set, work on your background, and try to mentor. But sometimes maybe the best avenue might be entrepreneurship, or starting your own business, which I know multiple people that have, because they created their own path, because they didn't seem to fit in a path that's already laid out for them, and that's not such a bad thing too.
Start your own path. That seems quite broad and big. Do you have suggestions or resources that people might be able to look into about that?
Okay, well, Elevate IP definitely does that. Catapult, uh, Innovate Calgary, Platform Calgary, uh, Inception U, multiple of those community organizations could have it. If you're wanting to go through specifically a kind of like cultural appropriate one that houses Indigenous and underrepresented people, I'd say come talk to us at IndigiTech Destiny or the BIPOC Foundation, and we can actually help you and steer you in the right way and connect you with the resources that you might need if you want to actually explore that. But I'm saying it's a really interesting and vibrant and impactful thing to do, but it's not an easy road. So you need to be very diligent and confident that's the road that you want to lead. I would say that regardless of the position or industry that you're in. I primarily, in my career, creative industries, and you have to be something slightly off to actually be work in the artistic or cultural world, because it's not an easy world, not an easy job, and you have to be able to deal with rejection quite a lot. You have to deal with personality and psychology of people, places, and things. The workability of the job site, the instability of the work world. So there are some challenges, but there's some major rewards too, if you can get a strong mindset and be confident in yourself and know what your background and skill set is, and just move forward and keep going on and keep showing up.
Thank you. Could you tell us just a little bit about the IndigiTech conference?
Okay, the IndigiTech Destiny Conference happens every year, generally, and it coincides with Innovation Week, YYC, which happens generally in November. This year, it's November 18th and or 19th, and it will be at Platform Calgary from 9 a.m. to 12 noon. And then we're going to have a mini IndigiTech Destiny Arts Summit across the street at the National Music Center from approximately 1 to 5. And again, it's just going to spotlight Indigenous professionals in those industries and give some insights and some kind of like learnings in regards to AI, financial technology, education technology, clean tech, and multiple other kind of like subjects.
How might people learn more about becoming involved?
So you can go to, we have two major websites. One more is the social enterprise business corporate aspect, and one is specifically focused on the conference. The conference run is in process of being updated, but it's still the landing page and all that good stuff is still working, but we're working behind the scenes to update it. So it's IndigiTech Destiny.ca for the conference and IndigiTech Destiny.com for the corporate social enterprise.
Wonderful. And for everyone here, we'll make sure to send that information in our follow-up email to everybody so that you have that information as well. How could people contact you if they have other questions or would like to be in touch?
They can contact me through you, or they can contact me through LinkedIn, or they can contact me through IndigiTechDestiny@gmail.com.
Wonderful. And again, we'll include that in our follow-up email as well. Thank you so much, Art. I'd like to give time now to open up for questions and answers. I know that we've had some questions come through the chat with Jamie. Maybe we could start there to get the ball rolling and then open up the floor.
For sure. Thank you so much, Art. I have somebody sent me about 3 different questions that I'll go through with you if we can while we wait for other questions to come in. And for folks who are on this, I have opened up the chat to public, so you can put in your questions and we'll all be able to see them. But to start, Art, what advice do you have for somebody who does not identify as a member of the Indigenous community, but as a person with a disability? Is there any specific advice for that group specifically?
Yes, I do work a little bit with accessibility and disability organizations. I, full disclosure, consider myself a neurodiverse cocktail. You never know what you're going to get on a daily basis. So I can relate from the cognitive point of view, and do actually have dear friends and colleagues that have physical challenges also. So a friend of mine, her name's Niha Ora. She runs Abled Planet, and she is doing her mission is to actually make travel for disability related individuals easier for them, which is awesome. But getting back to the question, can you restate it one more time?
Yeah. What advice do you have for somebody who is more on the disabled side than the Indigenous side for these?
I would say attitude is still a number one. Attitude and skills building is crucial. Networking, but actually in your search for jobs or opportunities, kind of do an audit of the person, the organization, and actually ask the important questions of who are you, what is your response and your plan for kind of like disabled kind of like employees or team members. What are the accommodations, all that kind of stuff, because that will tell you where they are and if they may or may not be a good fit for that. Does that answer a question, Jamie?
I believe so. And if we need more clarification, I'm sure they will ask for that. But the next question has some more technical jargon, so I'm going to be reading it directly. So what advice would you give someone who has a stutter and is struggling to break into the tech industry in Edmonton? For instance, in this person's case, they have the Cisco CCNA JNCIA-Junos and CompTIA A+ certifications, industry standard certifications for aspiring network technicians in the short term and network engineers in the long term?
That is a good question and a mouthful. And to be honest, I'm not 100% sure I can speak to that on a specific level, but I would say, does these jobs specifically, are they physical jobs that you actually have to be on site, or can some of this be done remotely? Because if it's done remotely or on the job, literally you could actually have conversations with your teammates or your manager in regards to the challenges that you actually have in your communication, and saying, is there a way that we can actually do this that is the easiest for all involved? Is there technology that I can write out? Can I do text? Can I do email? Can I write things out? Will you actually have the patience to understand when I'm actually talking to get through what we need to? That's what I would say. I don't know if that's a proper format, because that's not my specialty or specialty at all. But hopefully that actually speaks a little bit to it. But if I don't know it and you send me a thing, I can connect you with some resources to people that could probably speak to that better than I could. And hopefully that
Awesome.
makes sense.
Yeah, we'll for sure make sure that connection happens, Art. And the last question that they had is asking more broadly about sort of opportunities that they can tap into. So this individual is in Edmonton and working towards becoming a network engineer. So, you know, tech communities that might be a little bit more open, where they can practice their confidence with it while
So
networking with the stutter.
there's a meetup group called Messed Up Mondays. It's on Mondays every Monday, and it's at 1905, some 1905 on Jasper Avenue. If it's a restaurant bar, I can't remember the whole name of it, but you just looked up Messed Up Mondays, it will come up. There's Startup Edmonton. If you go and you just type in startup meetups or tech meetups in Edmonton, there's going to come a whole list of them. And I would just literally go do a test, go check out to see how they fit. Because generally, there's actually a Rainforest Alberta. I'm not sure if it's still in operation in Edmonton now, but there's an organization called Rainforest Alberta, Edmonton, which is an offshoot from the Calgary one. That might be a very good start to actually just get out there and meet and greet, and actually get a little bit more confidence in the networking. I would look up very specifically networking opportunities for network architectures. You could go through Grant McEwen, Nate, and a couple other things. I'm sure there are probably some groups up there that could actually help you gather that stuff. Now, if you're looking for specifically Indigenous or underrepresented kind of things, I can hook you up with that. Specifically, BIPOC Foundation. Actually, go to Edmonton Unlimited and look up Ashley Allen. She works at Edmonton Unlimited. And she could actually forward you in a direction, not just from an Indigenous point of view, but through Edmonton Unlimited, that could actually probably help you on your pathway to actually get where you needed to go. I hope that answered somebody's question.
That was great. Thanks, Art. Susanna, those were all the questions that were sent to me directly, but I think there's one other in the chat there that you can address.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Thank you so much, Jamie. What great questions. And thank you so much for that insight, Art. We'll make sure to include some of those pieces within our follow-up email as well. The question that we have here is saying that I've been working in equity, diversity, inclusion. I'm looking to make a move to working fully remote, and I'm considering that tech may offer fully remote options. I'm open to upskilling with a certification, etc. What are the top remote tech roles that are available and can be upskilled?
Okay, help desk, hands down. Help desk ones, easily one of the top skills. You can do coding remotely. A lot of my friends who are coders or programmers work at home or remotely. They're, yeah, customer service, customer care, all remote related stuff. Some banking and financial services you can actually do remotely. And then there's multiple organizations, companies and organizations that actually promote the concept of remote. So you could actually sign up to an organization and they will actually give you a list of jobs that you can actually apply for or support you in regards to remote working. And these can be locally or internationally. So once you get set up and a skill set and a background doing the remote job, then you're flexible to actually work from anywhere on the planet. As long as you have a laptop, a cell phone, and an internet connection, you can work anywhere at any time, at any place. If the company is set up and willing to actually do that. Because some companies say they are remote access available. And then when you get to the nitty gritty, he's going, no, I need to be in the office 1 day a week or a week a month or some kind of thing. So you need to be very careful who you work with and what you want to do. So if you want to be 100% remote, you need to really have those hard questions and going, is this 100% remote? And can I get this in writing? And this is not going to change tomorrow. I've heard horror stories of people getting remote jobs, and then the company is pretty much forcing them to actually go to the office, which is out of city, out of province, out of state. And they're going, I'm not moving my whole entire life and family to another city for this job, because that's the reason why I wanted a remote job.
That's good to know. I didn't realize that that was happening. So you were mentioning help desk, the coding, customer care, banking, and making sure to really focus on those organizations that are truly remote and making sure to check there.
Yeah.
Jennifer, did that answer your questions? I saw that you were clapping earlier, so
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
you're very welcome. I would like to open the floor to any other questions or comments that have come up from our conversation with Art.
Don't be shy. I won't bite hard. Well, there you go. Well, if there is some other come up, forward them to them, and I'll do my best to actually direct them to people, places, or things, because I have a limited knowledge of the stuff that I'm really good at, but I have an expansive network and knowledge of people that do know the answers to probably all the questions that you have. I just need going, oh, I'll talk to this person. I'll talk to this person. I'll talk to this person. And that's a very important skill overall in general, is you do not need to know everything. It's impossible to know everything, and it's not sustainable to know everything. You just need to have the adaptability, the innovation, and creativity to actually be able to search out the answer. And sometimes that answer is, oh, I know a guy. And you go talk to that person because they will know the answer, or they will know a person or resource to get that answer. So it's not necessarily knowing everything, it's the possibility of problem solving, of how you get the answer.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Art. We really appreciate your time and for being one of our strategic partners here at Mentorability Alberta.